if you want to use your phone at a concert to buy something, you still ultimately have this clunky experience, you know? So to be able to have that billing experience happen through your phone in a new way, to be able to drive that through for offline purchases as well is definitely something that we feel like is important, because, you know, you might want that collector's item, you might want that box set, you might want to do that outside of the normal experience of having to be on your desktop. And today there's not a great system for that. And, you know, I'm sure there will be evolution on that for sure in the next year. That's certainly something I'm excited about for all products, you know, music being one of them. And I've seen, like, I remember at South by Southwest, there were sort of local event-driven things that were very specific. But really outside of those two experiences, I haven't seen great. I haven't, as a consumer or as a marketer, seen great experiences. I'm sure others have, or I would hope so. But I do feel like, to your point, we have to sort of push them to increase the level of sophistication to say, we believe by messaging to our fans, you know, we've all kind of been in an acquisition mode, I think, this last year, like building our databases. But once we get a little bit of scale, I mean, we'll have, you know, hundreds of thousands of names to start to actually push to. So once we have that value, I feel like we can go to them and say, hey, we have these databases that we'd like to drive to your store, but you have to increase your value, the experience, in order for us to do that. So I'm not exactly sure what form that would be, if that would be CTIA or if that would be NARM or what, but I would hope that there's some way to push that agenda. I don't know. You look like you have something to say, Ted. You have like probably 2 bands that are really into it, and the rest of them we thought we could market for them, and it doesn't really work the same. And I mean, when it's coming from the band, really, I think the fans know, and it only, in my opinion, really works well if it really is actually coming from them on their phone. So I think one of the things we're trying to do is actually not do the Chinese menu approach with our artists and say, actually, no, like, unless you can commit to a certain level of effort, this is actually a bad idea, and then you look bad, we look bad, the fans are hanging out, you know, like, whatever, I just signed up for this and you've given me no value. And so you're better off having a lower barrier of sophistication, let's say, and just executing on it. Like, so then I would say to them, just post there, and until we get to a place where you can be into it, you know, just don't. And so that's actually, we were originally rolling out super aggressively with all of our artists saying, let's try. And then I think in the last few months we've gotten overwhelmed ourselves and said, we can't be successful everywhere, so we're going to pick the people that we really feel like we can win, and that's where they're going to talk to their fans, and that's where we're going to acquire those databases, and we're going to focus on that. So I don't know if that's, you know, our hope would be to scale over time, but I think in the short term we have to sort of focus on what we can focus on.
I think the other key thing there too is putting it in phases with specific marketing goals and ideas and kind of an overarching campaign, because you want to approach it in 2 or 3 months at a time of a reason why you're going to be interacting with this list.
Like a tour is obviously ideal in that case,
yeah,
right?
Or, you know, this single, I want to hear your specific thoughts. Call in, listen to this, or, you know, there has to be more reasoning for fans to kind of come in and get some value out of it for a long time, and then you can at least kind of gracefully bow out for a couple months before coming back if they feel that it's a campaign that's going for 2 to 3 months instead of just infinity.
He actually didn't have any ringtones for sale until now at all, and we spent a lot of time explaining. You know, he has 3 kids. He totally knows what's going on. He's not, you know, it was just more of like, he just felt like it was kind of cheap. He just couldn't get his head around it, you know. And he kind of decided, actually, that like now there's sort of this pent up, you know, he was like, actually, I didn't realize until this it sort of was like a tipping point for him, where all of a sudden so many fans were saying, hey, I really want Born to Run on my phone, you know, what's going on, are you ever? So he was sort of getting it from his fans, and as a result, pardon me?
Was it because his contract was so old that it wasn't even addressed in that contract?
Well, there was a little bit of that too. There was, but it wasn't like he was like, oh, no one's, I mean, it wasn't that. It was really that we were asking for a long time and he was saying no. Long story short, he just said yes, and because of that, he also made some decisions that he was like, yeah, I guess I could have, you know, my like, it was like the whole experience opened up in terms of profile pages and, you know, widgets and things of that nature. And obviously we were really sensitive to sort of what he likes and he doesn't, but it was one of those few examples. And I think we had another example with Bob Dylan recently where we had a viral sort of video thing that was really a lot of fun. I don't know if, exactly, and you know, so totally into it. So I think once there's sort of an experience that's really positive, and fans, not us, fans, they hear it from fans, it's good. But it, you know, as long as it comes from the community, they'll be into it. If it comes from us, typically we found that, you know, it's a lot of like pitching and them saying no, and yeah, so.